What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another live broadcast of the Engadget Podcast. I'm Senior Editor Devinder Hardwar. This morning, I'm joined by Deputy Editor Sherlyn Lowe. Hey, Sherlyn.
Hello.
Good morning. And podcast producer Ben Ellman. Hey, Ben.
Hello.
Hello. Good morning, everybody. We've got some gadgets to talk about, a whole bunch of news. Julian Assange is free. That just kind of came out of nowhere. How's everybody doing this morning? I see people in the chat. I saw Deepro9 was here early, saying the green bubble nightmare is over. Apple Messages now supports RCS. Have you seen the RCS stuff yet, Sherlyn? Because some of the betas.
You'd have to be on the iOS 18 beta and texting other people with
I
it.
assume you. I mean, are you on the beta? You could text me. Well, no,
Yeah.
on Android.
We're making plans to do exactly. It's like
RCS
more
people.
green bubble people, right?
I have green bubble devices if we need to do something.
I also have green bubble devices.
You're gonna text yourself?
It's more.
Yeah.
I need to set up the number there.
Yeah.
I see not only Deepro9, Jonathan Anderson's there, Declan, San, Juanita Valdez, and Simon B was talking about feeling nostalgic for flip phones. Then you missed the Snake game, dude. The amount of hours I spent on the Snake game.
I mean, I can imagine the amount of hours you'd spend on the Snake game, Sherlyn. Yeah. Hey, you can relive that now with the Razr, right? You can flip it. So that's the appeal.
There's like some basic games on a Razr phone, but we'll get into that, I'm sure. Lots of nostalgia.
Yeah, I do want to shout out to Dale North, who I reached out to. He's a game composer. He used to be a games journalist, actually, at GameSpeed. And he went all in on making game music. I've always loved his work. And we asked him, like, could he do a theme song for us? And he made us a whole bunch of music. So it's cool.
Oh, yeah. And I use it a lot.
We use it a lot. So that's all the lo-fi hip hop beats you're hearing.
Yeah. Like if you have ever played Wizard of Legend, which I was actually playing a lot when I had just started working on the Engadget podcast, I was like, wow, like everything is coming together.
Everything's coming together. I mean, I basically just reached out to a lot of people that I know, and he's a sweet guy because he gave us this stuff for free. We were gonna pay him to pay your people in general. But yeah, the music's great. I love listening to it every time. It does have a sedating vibe, but also like a chill vibe because things are crazy. I don't know. I don't want to hear crazy intro podcast music. Pixel event in August. We will talk about that. We will talk about all that stuff. Goldfinger, Silverfinger says Free Palestine. Yes, absolutely. Hello, everybody else joining us. I know people are coming in. All right, so yeah, we're going to talk about the new Motorola Razrs, which Sherlyn has some thoughts on. We have some hands-ons from Sam Rutherford. They look really cool. I'm really digging it. And we have a bunch of news, including one thing like from the Supreme Court that just hit this morning. Supreme Court was like, no, we don't have to worry about downwind air pollution from polluting states. That's great. That's awesome. Or at least, the government can't mandate things coming out of those states. So that's a whole. It's really dumb. My God, that's what we're living in. We'll also talk about the Rabbit R1 hack, which I thought was kind of hilarious. And I don't know if you've all seen it, but Toys R Us released a Sora produced ad, or at least the company that owns Toys R Us now, because they don't really have stores. They have like mini shopping stuff in Macy's. And
if you haven't seen it, we're going to watch it live. We're going to react to it live. You can react to it live. We'll read out comments.
Yeah, but if you want to watch it before, it's we have a story of that on Engadget.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, let us set up everything to go.
Yep.
I'm going to make sure my Audacity is going. For everybody who's new, we are recording the audio version of the podcast. We won't always be chatting with you folks in chat, but Ben will be keeping an eye out for comments. We'll do some Q&A in between sections. And you guys will get a preview of things that the audio people do not get. Okay.
Yeah, so if you've been a
testing
Gadget live stream viewer before, you know what's going to happen. If you haven't, welcome. What we do is I'm going to count down from 3. At the end of 3, we're all going to clap or snap our fingers. This helps me sync the files. And it's also really fun to see you put like clap, snap finger emoji, like
we do it together.
Movie slate emojis in the chat. So help us out with that. I'm going to count down from 3, starting at 3, 2, 1, and some silence. While we're being quiet, hit that thumbs up so other people could see us. Okay, silence over. Let's get into the show.
Let's go. I'm feeling a chill Bob Ross vibe, but I'm sure
Jonathan Anderson,
we will get
how
there.
dare you go dip for your meeting?
You could
How
leave us on
dare you?
put an earbud in and just have us in while you're talking with your real life colleagues. You got to
Oh,
focus
that's
in
a
some
good
more
reminder.
potent works, folks. Okay, my audio's looking good. Ready to go?
Yeah, everybody
Mhm.
mute their devices.
Oh yeah, my many devices. God. Okay, let's go in 3, 2, 1. What's up, Internet? And welcome back to the Engadget Podcast. I'm Senior Editor Devendra Hardwar.
I'm Deputy Editor Sherlyn Lowe.
This week, we'll be chatting about Moto's new Razrs. There's a new Razr and Razr Plus, and yeah, they're foldables once again. They look pretty cool, kind of keeping very pretty affordable prices for foldables too. So we'll be talking about that. We'll talk about Julian Assange being set free from prison, a couple Supreme Court rulings, and oh man, we're just gonna really look forward to events happening, or at least one big event happening in August. Which, thank you, Google. We all want to do that. We all want to be traveling for work in August. Thank you so much. As always, folks, if you're enjoying the show, please be sure to subscribe to us on iTunes or your podcatcher of choice. Leave us a review on iTunes. Drop us an email at podcast@engadget.com. Shalyn, I know you were very excited. You seemed so excited about the new Motorola Razr and Razr Plus. They look really nice. I like the prices. What is it, 700 for the Razr,
Uh-huh.
1,000 for the Razr Plus. These are nice looking foldables. What's up this year?
I mean, very excited is a very strong way to put how I feel about these things. I think
Are we no longer excited about foldables? Is it just
I
like
mean, I've
ho
always
hum?
been.
Yeah.
I think I was more excited for, and here's where you could use the right word, and there's also a story behind this. Motorola did like a whole ass launch event in Brooklyn
Hmm.
for the Moto Razr 2024 lineup.
Oh, Brooklyn's nice. Yeah.
This was earlier this week. The news was announced Tuesday. They also had their little event on little was more than little event on Tuesday, and featuring one Paris Hilton,
Oh,
who's apparently this like
really?
big fan of the pink razor from way back when, right? Like she was the whole like that's hot, and then like flip the pink phone thing. Anyway,
Uh-huh.
this event also featured a magician, so I was like, all right, look, I guess I'll go. And then I went, and like I
Did you
dragged
go
my I
because you heard there was gonna
no,
be a
no, no, no.
magician?
The main reason so I was already out for a different meeting
Uh-huh.
earlier that day, so I was like, "All right, I'll just go to the office, chill, and then go to this event and see, like,
Mhm.
get some, like, of my own hands-on time with the phones." Because Sam took the hands-on demo for us. So I was like, "All right, I'll go take a look at the phone." But also, yes, okay, I was like, "I'll try to get a selfie with Paris Hilton, why not?" And it turns out I left the event before Paris Hilton even, like, started to do her DJ set because I was just so impatient. I was just like, "I
Oh,
can't,"
wait,
like
she's doing a DJ set too?
so she
N
DJ'd at the launch event, but there was
Noted
first, like, this
DJ Paris
magic show
Hilton?
thing. I mean, please,
Okay.
if Lindsay Lohan can DJ in Mykonos, Paris Hilton can for sure.
Well,
I don't know.
are we gonna have a fight here, Sherlyn? Because listen, if we're gonna talk about somebody with I don't know, talent of any kind, the ability
I
to
don't know,
produce and
talent's a
produce.
strong word.
Lindsay Lohan's a good actor. I liked her until like
Lindsay
her
Lohan's good, yeah.
inevitable downfall. Yeah. Paris Hilton, not so much. Come on. Okay, so what did you see at this event? Did you see the
Yeah,
magician at
so
least?
I will say the reason I keep bringing up the magician is because they used the magician to kind of highlight a few of these features that
Uh-huh.
are debuting on the new Motorola Razr and Razr Plus. And you pointed out rightly that the pricing is one of the outstanding things. Like Sam has it in his hands-on
Mhm.
headline that they might be the most stylish and affordable foldables of the year. The standard razor starting at $700. I think the pricing is a little bit confusing because last year with the 2023 lineup, the Razr 40, as it was known,
Mhm.
I think in the UK versus the Razr in the US, it was like it cost about 800 pounds, and that was quite a lot of money. That's close to 1,000 in the US, and I
Yeah.
don't know that it ever came to the US, and so it's
I
unclear
don't
on
know about that
pricing,
one,
but
but last year's Razor was also $700, so at least
I
the base
mean,
one. Yeah.
I don't know, like, I'm looking at our review of the Razr 2023 and the hands-on, and it's like Matt's review, because Matt Smith, who reviewed it for us, is based in the UK, says it was 800 pounds, so that's, like, more,
Yeah,
like, quite a
I'm
bit.
just so before let me just fill you all in here.
Yeah.
As we were doing the planning for this, because I was just like looking at like how do these compare to last year? It does seem like the pricing last year did launch at 700 and 1,000. But what weirdly happened, and I'm sure the UK folks are annoyed about this. Apparently, the base razor was on sale, like quote unquote on sale for 80% of last year for $500, which is a crazy price.
Whatever it is,
Yeah.
let's put it this
Yeah.
way. Motorola's pricing strategy is strange AF, but this year it
Cheap,
seems
yeah.
like the base one starts at $700, and then the higher end, the Razr Plus, is $1,000 to begin with. And for that money, you're getting like a larger external display than ever. You've got
Mhm.
more app support on the external screen. You've got some like colors like hot pink, which is like that original Razr flip phone. And then this like leather sort of finish on the back. Sam's pictures look great. The ones I saw at the event also looked really nice. Um, and you have some AI features now. Look, I don't know how y'all feel about magicians and magic tricks, but they've all been ruined for me because I read or watched too many like reveal the trick sort of shows.
You did it to
And
yourself. Okay. Yeah.
right. And then like the magician was like, "Oh, everybody hold up your phone and like Google this or calculator that and everything." And I was like, "All right, fine." And but for example, the Moto Razr Plus 2024 and the Razr all have new AI based features. For
Okay.
example, you can take a photo of, by the way, listen to this. You can take a photo of your outfit and the quote AI end quote will generate color themes and wallpapers for you. I was like, Alcatel did this circa 2018. Like, stop it. This is not a new feature. Stop calling things new. But there is another thing called Magic Canvas on Motorola's AI suite that will let you type in a prompt and then it will create sort of a wallpaper for your phone. So if you like dancing puppies with balloons in the background, you can use that as your wallpaper, for example. And then there's a feature that's coming called Catch Me Up. It will summarize all your notifications so you don't have to like go through all of them individually. And then Sam is excited about something called Remember This, which sounds a little bit
Mhm.
like Microsoft's Recall. You can ask or you can first prompt Moto to be like remembering things for you and then ask it to record a photo, screenshot, or some audio. And then it will repeat the important details back to you when you ask for those important details later on. Like, oh, what was in that photo, or like what date did I leave in that screenshot, something like that. So
Mm. So you have to
um
actively tell it to remember things, which
exactly,
I
you have to
think
first be
yeah.
exactly, so it's not like in the background constantly screenshotting
Mhm.
and tracking your activity,
I just feel
which
like
is a
people
good
won't do it.
differentiation.
Yeah, because, like, you
Yeah,
could just always just take a photo of something and be like, "Yeah, yeah,
I wonder
that's
if
how
it's gonna be
we
a
remember
RAM
things
hog
now."
too. Yeah.
Who knows? Who knows? I do have to say these things look really nice, Sherlyn. They as
Yeah, they
far as,
look
like
very cool.
yeah, they look cool. I don't see a huge crease on these, and the external displays,
Yeah.
especially on the Plus,
So
looks hot. Yeah.
oh yeah, the I mean, to quote Paris Hilton, the other thing that Sam did point out is that the crease there is still there, but that
Mhm.
it's very faint, and describes it as a shallow ripple that you only
Mhm.
see at acute angles, which is wild. Like, I mean,
Mhm.
we're getting somewhere with these things, right? It feels like from the 2023 lineup of the Razors to the 2024, what we're getting is more refinement. I mean, yes, a larger display, but I think the hardware feels like it's quite like ready for to like settle, in the like candy bar format that iPhones have been in for a while.
Mhm.
I think mini foldables like that are more or less mature in terms of hardware. Now it's all about the software, and apparently AI is the way,
Yeah, that's the
which
way.
I have thoughts on.
One thing that I've been thinking about is, like, we still don't have a foldable iPhone. I feel like everyone's waiting for Apple to do something around that. The rumor
Mm.
was the iPad mini being some sort of, like, foldable tablet type of thing. But we've got several foldable Androids now, Sherlyn, and they seem pretty good. The prices are getting down there. At least, like, most of them are under the price of an iPhone Pro Max even.
Mhm.
Um, if you're considering an Android phone, why don't you just get a foldable? Unless you want something under $500.
Yeah, I think the main concern has always been like durability and
Mhm,
battery life on these things, and like by the way, the light razors get like a slightly higher IP rating than before.
mhm.
And again with the crease not looking as bad, and then there's a new hinge on these new razors too. There's a lot of good things. I don't know that we'll ever see a footable iPhone. I think we see a footable iPad mini first, but you know,
Or
it,
something, yeah.
you're right that they are cheaper now, right? At $1,000 for the higher end ones, for the flips anyway, not the bigger
Mhm.
folds. These are pretty feasible as your daily
Yeah.
driver if you're okay with your phone lasting only a day, not
The
2.
how much is the Galaxy Flip now? Isn't that like 800?
It's about $9.99 as well.
Okay.
Like, it
Yeah.
starts at about the same price. And it does have that, like, nicer cover display. I want to see
Mhm.
Samsung do more with the Flip. And
Mhm.
speaking of, we'll learn more come July. We'll get to that in a
We'll
bit.
learn more from Samsung. I mean, we're also still waiting for, like, Google is not doing, like, a top-down fold. The
The
Pixel Fold,
Flip
right, is
style one, yeah,
just
the
yeah.
mini one.
The Pixel
Yeah.
Fold opens up, so
Yeah.
I could
Yeah.
see them doing something. It just seems like the main appeal of Android is, like, you can get a really killer phone for $500 or less,
Mhm.
but if you're willing to
Mhm.
bump up a little more, it does seem like if you're gonna spend 700 or $1,000 on a phone, get a Flippy, I guess.
Yeah, you
It
might as
seems
well,
like
like,
we've
get
reached that
something that
point.
the hardware is intriguing.
Mhm.
I do wanna point out, has Sam in the chat says that the issue with Moto has always been their horrible software update
Yes.
record, which
Yes.
very good point. And again, Sam does point out that, excuse me, Motorola says that the Razrs will receive 3 major Android OS upgrades and 4 years of software support. That's a jump from last year, but it's still short of the 7 years you're getting from Samsung and Google's more recent devices. So, like, good for bumping the number of years of support up, Moto, but you're still so far behind the
Always good.
competition. That's just not great. Yeah.
I feel like the thing when you mentioned magicians, Sherlin, all I think about, I don't take magicians seriously. I'm not super
Mm.
excited by them, but I think about Joe Bluth in Arrested Development, and I can imagine if if they had gotten Will Arnett to come here and just do his Joe Bluth thing while sort of being sarcastic about Samsung features, that would have been funny. That would have
I
been at
gotta
least entertaining. But
say,
yeah,
I was looking around the event. First of all, they were like, okay, so the event started at 6 and was going to end at like 10. I bounced before 8, by the
at
way, because, like,
night.
yeah,
Wow,
that's why I was able to go. It
amazing.
was like after work. That's why I was like, all right, it's
You're
after work, so it's
really
not really a work thing.
you're really pushing
And
it,
then
Motorola. Like you want people to
I
hang
know.
out with
So
you after
so
dinner.
no. So you show
Wow.
up at 6. That there was no food until after like 7:45. Never mind. I showed up really for the food. But anyway, and then Paris Hilton was slated to show up at like 8 or something, but I think she started
She's
after
gonna
8
come in
from
fashionably late. Come
I
on.
heard from friends afterward. Yeah. But anyway, at 6, and then the wait, why was I starting? Oh, I was
Mhm.
looking around. I got in at like 6:10 or something. And people, it was already like the seating area in front of the magician's performance area was already full. And I was like, all right, these are the plants, right? Like, these are the
Have you
plants.
people
These
never
have
seen a
to
magician
be.
before? Okay.
I I don't know. I don't think it's. I swear to God, I think they were all plants. Like,
Okay.
there's a lot of audience participation that all requires. I think if you know magic tricks, you'll know that there's a lot of like planted actors. Anyway,
That makes sense,
the
actually. Yeah, yeah.
yeah. Anyway, I was looking around and I was like, yeah, I noticed that there was a suspicious amount of people already there. But B, I was like,
Mhm.
wow, does Motorola have a lot of money still? Like, what is going on? They've, got Paris Hilton, they got this magician, they
They
got
got
this big
a
space in
magician, not even,
Brooklyn.
like, a named magician,
I I gotta say, I think they have a name and I just can't remember, which sucks.
you know?
But there you go. So I don't know. Motorola must be doing something right, or Lenovo
I
is
don't
financing it like crazy,
I
because
don't
they
know.
were all
I
into Lenovo.
mean, Paris Hilton is not a big pull. Paris Hilton, the last we saw with her was doing, like, an ad deal with Twitter, right? Like, exclusive content
I
for
mean, the
Twitter and, like
last I heard of her is on her reality TV series where
I
she's
don't know.
being a mom, but
It's even beyond that, but, like, D-tier celebrity at this point,
oh,
the Elon Musk will like, "Hey, you're not mad at me yet. Would you like to
oh
do something
no.
with Twitter?" Yeah, I don't know. Okay, well, the phones look nice. The event seems they should get David Blaine, like, when they finally get the, when they get rid of the bezel. How do you make the bezel disappear? Magic
Oh
trick.
god.
That
Oh
would be
god, no.
hilarious.
Cringe. Cringe. So
Cringe.
much
Okay.
cringe.
Anything else on the Moto Razrs?
No, I will say that they're kicking off foldable season, and we're
Mhm.
gonna hear more about that just a little bit.
Foldable fall, as it were.
Oh god.
Foldable fall. We are because
Speaking.
summer just started. Oh my god. Okay, so Samsung is doing something in July. We thought
Yeah.
we were kind of chill for the summer, at least for July and August, but no, never. So what's going on there?
Samsung officially announced that the second Unpacked of the year of every year is happening this year on July 10th. Wonderful round of applause. July 10th is a lot earlier than we're used to, right? These
Mhm.
second Unpacks used to be, taking place either during IFA, which would be in September, or
Yeah.
like end or mid-August, and it's just gone earlier and earlier, and now it's in the middle of July. Great. Hey,
Man.
you know who else announced their like important dates for July? Amazon's Prime Day is going to be July 16th and 17th. So if you understand the consumer tech media business, you'll know that that's really a lot of work for a lot of people. So I don't appreciate the timing here, but Samsung anyway officially announced July 10th, and it's holding its event in Paris of all places. Now, earlier this year, when it had the S24 Unpacked, Samsung did that in San Jose, which Silicon Valley, everybody was like, oh yeah, it's linked to AI, and that's why they chose Silicon Valley for that launch event. So if you think about Paris, other than Paris Hilton, Paris in France, are you thinking
I'm thinking
fashion?
bedbug controversy from last year.
Oh God. Oh yeah. Anyway, I won't be going. Thank good. I'm just not. Thanks for talking about bed bugs, because I now will have nightmares. But I think, considering that this time of year Samsung's always launching foldables and wearables, and watches make sense for the fashion sort of setting, and then like if they wanted to make their flip a bit more stylish, and also yes, we are expecting to see the Galaxy Ring that they teed up in January. I mean, there's a lot to expect from Samsung, and like I said, it's going to be foldable fall, I guess. Ben, our producer, is pointing out that the Olympics are also in Paris, but is it in July? I think it is in July. I'm not entirely sure what time of year.
We've had several stories about the Olympics.
Late July to early August.
Don't pay attention.
Late July to early August.
Late July. Okay, so they're trying to get out of there maybe before the Olympics really kick off.
Riding some of the fitness hype, maybe, like especially if there's a watch. Yeah,
probably that with the watch and the Galaxy Ring. So a lot of potential tie-in things. Now we already
Olympics rings. Multicolored Samsung Galaxy rings with the Olympics colors.
Can you imagine if they make that?
Yeah, they're gonna do it.
Anyway, you heard it here first. Ben and Devendra both predicted it on the Engadget podcast. Samsung's going to use the Galaxy Ring as the Olympics, some kind of Olympics tie-in.
The official Olympics wearable that nobody will ever buy. But yes.
Oh my God. Will it get them all to not sleep in the same rooms?
What?
Anyway.
What?
Head on over to Engadget.com. We already have like a what to expect out of Samsung sort of preview article.
Are we excited about the Ring yet? Like we talked about it. I talk about my ambivalence around Ring gadgets in general. How are you feeling now, Sherlyn?
I'm with you. Like I don't wear that Aura Ring anymore. I just will have someone else who's more happy to wear rings, I guess, to review it. Like I really liked what the Aura Ring did in terms of the insights for sleep. Because it's something I was happy to wear to sleep, even though I kind of still didn't like it. I was like, all right, it's better than a watch. But it also actually gave very good and different information, the Aura sort of system, about my sleep than I was used to. So that was nice to see. But otherwise, no, I wash my hands too many times a day for a ring to be really a feasible thing.
I mean, you could wash your hands with the ring, can't you?
I can, but I don't like to. I don't like to have moisture retained around the ring. I will still take it off anyway.
So it's mainly cooking. It's the time where you want to be like, I don't want to get sauce and oil and whatever else on these things. So,
I'm very finicky about my just my comfort.
I feel you. I feel like the only thing that I felt that was good for sleep tracking back in the day, we will often bring this up, but RIP Jawbone, RIP the Jawbone Up, a device that was too beautiful to survive in this world and also too bug ridden. So yeah.
Also, RIP the Amazon had this sleep tracking Halo Rise. Gosh, that thing was great. I miss it. But
you miss Amazon staring at you and judging you.
Look, someone in our chat earlier today when we were talking about that AI feature where you take a photo of your outfit to generate wallpapers thing. Someone in our chat mentioned, didn't Amazon have a camera that you would take take photos of your outfit? I was like, yeah, I loved it. Like, I will say that the person in the chat who said that, like, who mentioned that feature was like, wasn't it creepy when people realized they were undressing in front of an Amazon camera? I was like, I was not undressing in front of the camera to start. I would dress up somewhere else and then go in front of the camera thing.
That sounds like a really easy to use device. Okay.
I mean, I still have it at home. It doesn't work anymore. Like the Halo Rise, I have like a little my own personal graveyard of Amazon devices that I loved watching.
They just threw money at so many things. The Fire Phone, all these dumb devices. Oh my God.
I can't wait to see what Panos Panay does with Amazon hardware. But we are digressing just so slightly. Back to the Samsung Unpacked event. Like I think in addition to the Galaxy Ring, we're expecting also like just making an educated guess here, probably gonna see the new Galaxy Z Fold, Z Flip, Galaxy Watch. I think they had a Watch Pro in the past too, and then we still haven't seen new buds, right? So like there's a lot. Have we seen a new tablet in a while? I don't know.
I don't know.
I mean, so that's a lot. That's a lot of things to kind of expect Samsung to unveil. I will also say that in that announcement about Unpacked, Samsung also mentions the words Galaxy AI is here.
Ugh.
Wonderful, excellent.
Are they going to show Bixby just evolving into true AI? Bixby.
What if like
AI.
Bixby is just running
Bixi.
sort of
Mhm.
in yes, that's part of their event.
Oh boy. Okay, well, we'll see. Do you think it is wise? I could see August being a good time to like get away from the iPhone hype, like have some time to yourself. That's what Google's doing. But July. Nobody's thinking about updating devices. Everyone's waiting to see like what the future
I
things are, especially should I
yeah.
get an iPhone or iPad? So July to announce
I would
things.
not be surprised now
Mhm.
that you and Ben brought it up that like it is absolutely Olympics timing.
Sure.
Like they're timing it for try to get ahead of the Olympics so that they can make their Olympics announcement, something like that.
Mhm.
Would not be surprised if that is like a part of the reason. So there you go.
There you go. Well, I mean, let's talk about the Google thing because we're talking about like upcoming events and Google's announcing basically August 13th, right? Is going to be the next the Made by Google event where we're expecting new Pixels and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Do we feel differently about this because this is just going to be their major device launch. It's not going to be tied to any events otherwise.
Google?
Google.
Sorry, I got distracted by our chat. There was something I needed to handle there. Can you say that again?
What do we expect for the Made by Google August 13th event?
Okay, gotcha. Excuse me. Yeah, thanks a lot. So Google announced the Made by Google event is happening on August 13th. And like you said, it's a bit of time for itself. And I want to go on a rant after this about all of this. Not a rant, like a little sideways talk. Google traditionally in its like second half of the year event, its hardware launch brings us new Pixel phones, probably a new Pixel Watch, maybe new Pixel Buds, similar slate of devices, I would say, as Samsung. Except for because Google doesn't usually have like a January event to launch its actual flagship devices, it will have both like a standard phone and maybe a foldable as well. Or we're probably due to see like a new Pixel Fold.
It's been 2
As well as
years, right? For the Pixel Fold?
2 or 1. Everything blends into
Yeah.
one to me. But yeah, it could be like 2 years by now. But we really like that thing, right? Like we really liked it when it came out. It was very thin.
It's 1 year.
It had
It's
all
1
of
year.
this.
It just feels like
Yeah.
Yeah.
It feels like 2. So there's the Pixel Fold 2 we're expecting to see, and then the Pixel 9 series of phones, and then whatever the Pixel Watch 3, I believe, is also on the agenda, hopefully, probably. And then finally, maybe some other devices after all of that internal reorganization under Rick Osterloh happened earlier this year that The Verge reported on. Maybe we'll see some other hardware from like the Nest side of things. It's a lot of speculation on my end, but that's an educated guess, right? Based on historical evidence, based on what's out there, and other stuff that I know.
Oh, Sherlyn knows things. Okay, well, so July event that we'll be all planning for. I will be gone. Sorry, guys. Also August. So it's like there's no break during the summer, and then like once this Google thing is done, we're all like just thinking about iPhone and thinking about like what's going to happen with Apple and the whole fall and everything. No rest for us, I guess. What are you looking to doing? Like, are you looking to covering things, or focusing on any kinds of other stories in July and August, Sherlyn? Now that we have
I mean, I would
have a little time to breathe.
always, I would love to take a break, but in July I'm traveling. Right after Prime Day, and the the I don't know. I don't think I'll be able to escape any of the coverage.
Just escape.
And Google, by the way, is hosting its event in Mountain View. And as much as I would like not to travel, I do want to say hi to some of the Google people I know that work there, get some FaceTime with some executives, because that's always good for kind of like making sure Engadget gets like good information and do some reporting from the scenes.
You got to
So
report. Yeah.
might go. Yeah, exactly. So that's I mean, it's possible. I don't know, but you haven't finalized our plans yet is the reason. I'm not being like cagey on
Sure.
purpose.
Sure.
We don't have anything firm to say. But I did RSVP. I mean, I'm always like,
We're
invite
gonna
me
have
to things.
somebody
I
there.
will always say yes, but I may or may not show up. That's like,
Oh boy. Okay. Well, okay. So that's some new Moto Razrs, which look pretty cool. Check out our hands-on coverage, and we're, I guess, soon going to be prepping for the Samsung
so
Galaxy
many more
Unpacked, and
hardware
after
season
that,
is coming. Yeah.
prepping for the Google Pixel event in August. Oh boy.
Hey, Kevin says in our chat asked, what about Fitbit? And I would like to point out that
Mhm.
Pixel Watch 3 is probably like you can consider it almost a Fitbit device.
Mhm.
Google owns Fitbit. And also Fitbit did launch the Ace LTE wearable for kids last month. So, Fitbit is still doing its own thing. I don't know if they're going to do anything new for this Made by Google event though.
And I mean, they just say, yeah, they had a big turnaround too of employees and things too. Like, what is Fitbit even anymore? Man, I remember when we were excited about wearables. I remember when that stuff was cool and everybody was trying different ideas. And Fitbit was not owned by Google and was a lot more
Yeah.
nimble. Yeah, okay. We'll be looking forward to all this stuff, and check out our coverage on the Samsung. Check out our coverage on the Motorola Razrs.
Mm.
Want to do some Q&A now?
Yeah, there's quite a few.
Because I'm
I
sure
need to
people, I
respond to-
see people
So
talking. Yeah.
yeah, sorry, I got distracted because someone was making personal attacks in the chat, and I just needed to just mute them very quick and then
That's good.
remind everyone to. And no, it was not something any of y'all said.
Okay.
DPro9 says they're getting the bigger watch in the 9XL. That's the Pixel, I'm assuming. Wow, that's a lot of confidence, DPro9. You let me know why you're so confident already. What do you know? Declan, there just some conversation around what did that person say, and Declan was like, I was worried Sherlyn was an England soccer fan and didn't like being discounted from because y'all were having a conversation about the Euros, England and Euros and all of that stuff. England, tied with whoever it was they played on last week around Juneteenth. That's as far as I know on the Euro Cup. Like, okay, cool.
Jonathan Anderson said, I think early while we were talking about the possibility of Razr AI or something, said AI fatigue is a real thing, in my opinion. You don't need to tell us that.
We know.
It is.
You are preaching to the choir.
Name Charlie has a speculation. August 13 is International Lefties Day. Wonder why they picked that day. Maybe the watch is supposed to be worn on your right hand instead. I don't know. Gosh. Name Charlie says, is any ring worth getting at all? You would like to minimize from the Watch Ultra? I mean, the Aura is one of the best out there.
They're not going to do what the Watch Ultra does, though. If you want to minimize from that, get a normal Apple Watch. You chose the big ass Apple Watch. Sorry.
The Aura is also like a big old ring.
It is a big ring.
It is bigger.
It is quite big because there's a lot of technology they have to squeeze in there.
Yeah, you have to squeeze a lot of stuff in there, and it is bigger and thicker than the average like men's wedding ring, which tends to be like the bigger, thicker ring that most people wear.
And the wedding ring is already a little uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable. Weird things happen when you wear rings. Like I was once at a restaurant and like a glass hit my hand in such a way, and the ring it just shattered, just like erupted in glass everywhere. I'm like, that's not great. Maybe we shouldn't be wearing more things.
There was that time that Jimmy Fallon fell down and almost skinned his finger with his wedding ring.
Oh man, I did not see that.
Oh yeah, it was like right around the transition from late night to late night to the Tonight Show.
Yeah,
and that was when he was playing guitar a lot more often, and he couldn't then.
Oh man,
Kevin says in the chat mentioned that they have tickets to the netball with their daughter in Paris, taking the train from London to Paris. Very
that's
nice. Stay
sweet.
free of bed bugs. Good luck.
Hmm.
But also wanted to point out that Kevin says mentioned that the Whoop is a good sleep tracker. Now the Whoop has been around for a very long time. Whoop band is what my gym is using for they're like trying it very hard to sell Whoop to all of us to like use them in class because then
It's
your
really
heart
called
rate can be
Whoop.
shown. It's WHOOP. They've been around for a while. They did coaching for a bit. This was they were big
Uh-huh.
during the heyday of like fitness trackers
The
quite
bands
early
look cool.
on.
This is cool. Yeah.
Yeah, they're like similar to the Polar heart rate trackers, but I think the Whoop ones are a bit smaller as
Hmm.
well. I still don't want to wear it because chest worn things. I don't know if like the Whoop is only chest worn, but like the chest worn version is what we see at our gym most.
I'm seeing like
I
a
am
cloth
not.
thing that is on your wrist, which actually looks kind of nice.
Yeah, I think it's a
Fabric.
module you could put on
Yeah.
anything.
This looks cool.
But the other thing I want to say is, I mean, I haven't used the Whoop, so I couldn't tell you. I just wanted to say that it was like heavily pushed at my gym. I also want to say that Mike Jones in chat wishes that laptops had SIM card slots, and some of them do, by the way.
Some of them
Like
do.
in the
We did
past, they did,
reporting.
and
You did reporting around that in like
I did.
2017. Like this is gonna change the world.
eSIMs, yeah, it
Or
was so great.
eSIMs.
Ugh,
We
I
don't
miss
want
them.
you don't want SIM card slots anymore. You want like eSIMs
Yep.
because then
And
ideally
Mike
you can just
Jones also continues with and then have
Mhm.
a Windows app for your phone calls, messages, and whatnot. Yeah, those were
That
there is something
exists.
called
Yep.
Windows to Android. Android phones have phone to Windows something. There's a feature, I can't remember the name offhand,
There are
that allows you to do
several.
that.
Hmm.
Yeah, and Samsung has its own version. I think they call
Samsung
it
has
Dell
one. Intel has a
Phone.
phone mirroring app. Microsoft
Dell
has a phone.
Phone.
Has an app called Your Phone, which will mirror most of your
Oh, that's
Android
right, the
phones.
one, your phone. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's one of the big things that keeps me in the Apple ecosystem. Just the
Hmm.
fact that if I'm getting a call, like I have my desk set up exactly like this, like
Yeah.
the microphone is always, maybe I'll flip it up a little bit so it isn't always in my face. But if I'm getting a call, I will just flip the mic down. I'll take the call on my laptop and
Yeah.
not even look at my phone.
Super easy.
The last few Q&As, Simon B in the chat asked actually a very good question. What will happen with the podcast for the summer? Will it continue? Are you guys taking a break? You want
Good
to stay
point.
updated? Good question. Given that Devendra and I are both like taking some time off in July, I would say expect July's like live streams to be fairly sporadic,
At
if
least
at
I'm
all.
off for 3 weeks in July, and there's no live stream if I can't run it. So
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly. So like while Devendra is out from like basically all of the second
Hmm.
2/3 of July, let's just say there's no live stream. But I think we'll be around August. We'll at least be around to
Hmm.
cover the Android thing. Sadly, there will be no live stream to talk Samsung, but
I
we'll
mean,
do a
you
podcast after
guys, you guys can produce it in other ways, but maybe
yeah.
it's up to you, Sherlyn, and whoever else you can grab.
Mm.
There may be audio podcasts during those weeks, so we shall see.
Yeah.
Hi to D Man who is back. I finally went back down all the way in the chat.
Mhm.
And Buddy305 Love wants SIM card slots. Not a fan of eSIMs yet. I hear like some people are frustrated about like the move to eSIMs on iPhone, and some more recent Android phones as well. Like I actually don't mind. I think that as long as the transfer software is good, that's
Mhm.
not such a bad thing.
Deeper9 says, nice call center technology, Ben. I
Yeah.
prefer to think of myself as one of the operators from the Matrix, but I understand that it's also call center sort of stuff.
Or the John Wick movies. I don't know. Like you're
Yeah,
just one of those
just
people.
like any of those guys that sit in front of the computers.
Mhm.
Oracle, hey, Oracle's a lady.
Oracle's a good
Um,
one. Yeah, iPhone mirroring, by the way, that just hit the new
Yes.
betas. So I'm looking forward to testing that with the new macOS beta and my
Yeah.
iPhone. That's going to be something I use quite a bit. I love it. Great concept. Um, and
All right.
now that was also one of the ones we didn't really have space to talk about this, but Apple's
Yeah.
saying may not bring this to the EU. That's kind of
Mhm.
really pushing it on the European Commission there. All right,
so we
let's
do
move on
have
to some of our.
one. Yeah, we do have one
Mhm.
other thing that I wanted to
Yep,
mention. Psycho USB, or no, maybe just Psycho says USB 2.0 port on a flagship phone should be illegal.
should be illegal.
We
Yep.
confirm that is actually what Motorola is doing.
I haven't seen it mentioned in our hands-on article.
Mhm.
They might have seen the spec sheet.
I wonder if also they're doing that because I don't think it depends on like are people thinking by wire? much anymore. Like most phone backups are happening wirelessly as you're charging your device somewhere else. If you want to download your
Right.
libraries, that is easier than syncing it to a library on your computer. But yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
And 2.0 has nothing to do with charging speeds, right? It's just transfer speed.
I mean, but it's cheaper to implement. It's probably they want to spend the
Right.
extra $5 or
Exactly. I mean, if it's
$10.
just transfer, yeah. Then
But
So
it's
also,
fine.
doesn't that mean that you can't have one port for everything? Like if you had USB-C,
No.
then you could plug just anything in there. You could
aren't
use
they? I think it's USB-C,
one
but
port
with
for-
I think it's
USB-C.
USB-C 2.0 speeds, or
That sucks.
Okay, I didn't even know that was possible.
This is why USB-C is a mess. Just because it can be.
it
Is it
should have been
Thunderbolt?
set as
Yeah,
like
I
3.0
thought
and
that,
up
like the
as standard,
floor
yeah.
of USB-C
Mhm.
was like USB like 3 or
I think
maybe
that was the
like
ideal.
1 or
That
something
was
like
the
that.
ideal.
Should have been.
We need to devote a whole episode to this at some point because it's like if you have a Thunderbolt port, you better get a Thunderbolt cable. Otherwise, you will not get those Thunderbolt speeds. It's all the same damn connector. Oh my god. Okay, ready to go on?
I mean, we have talked about this
We
before.
have.
It's so confusing. Wait,
And it's gotten dumber and sillier and
Why I'm using some Galaxy Buds. There you go.
You're using Galaxy Buds.
Galaxy Buds.
Okay. I hope they
I'm
don't
just responding to
explode.
chat.
Let's all pray that
Okay.
Sherlin's buds do not explode.
I mean, I've used them for every live stream. So
Yep, let's get to this other news.
All right, we're gonna blow through some of these stories, but these are all big ones. Yeah. Okay. All right, let's move on to some other news. And I think one of the surprise stories this week is that Julian Assange, the founder of WikiLeaks, who has been in prison for a few years, was hiding out in an embassy in London, right? After WikiLeaks put out the documents, like a lot of secret documents, classified documents around the Iraq and Afghanistan wars. US did not like that. So he is now free from prison. He pled guilty to the Espionage Act at a courthouse in Saipan. I just saw the news, like he has arrived back in his homeland of Australia. He's reuniting with his wife. He's not actually saying much except saying, let me see here. The deal required Assange to plead guilty to conspiring to unlawfully obtain and disseminate classified information relating to the national defense of the United States. He did defend himself in court. He did say, let me see here. Working as a journalist, I encouraged my source to provide information that was said to be classified in order to publish that information. I believe the First Amendment protected that. And of course, his source was Chelsea Manning too. So they also went to prison for a while. There has been a lot of discussion about how is this an unfair thing? Like, should the government go so harshly against leakers, but especially if it's classified information? I think that's where it gets so messy. Chelsea Manning spent years in prison. It was like what, 6 or 7 years, and then Obama, I think, commuted her sentence. So that kind of like worked out better there. But it is I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on this, Sherlin? Because we've been talking about the Julian Assange stuff for so long. It felt like the story would never end, and it's not done yet. Like he's going to say things. His supporters are going to be out there trying to, say that, spin this a certain way too. I don't know. What do you think about it?
I think I mean the question that you were getting at near the end of that portion there is that, does the penalty befit the crime? And like it's hard, right? Like you have to talk about, like, national security is one thing. We also have to talk about like who was affected, what's the like net good or net harm. It's really hard to like decide. And then there's a reason I'm not in the legal judiciary system to like decide these things.
It's kind of a it's kind of a mess. I think like one major argument I've seen against WikiLeaks over time is that hey, like listen, leakers getting confidential government information out there has been hugely important in the history of this country. Like the Pentagon Papers were like, that was classified information that was massively influential
Snowden.
in terms of, well, I'm going to get to that.
Different.
But the Pentagon Papers, that definitely helped us get a sense of like what was actually happening in Vietnam, and showed how bad the Vietnam War was for America and how kind of a failed war it was. Assange points out that he says the First Amendment and the Espionage Act are in contradiction of each other. He accepts his actions were in violation of the espionage statute, and that it would be difficult to win such a case given all the circumstances. Basically, if you leak anything, even if it's like you believe it's for the greater good, like the government will like come come down against you with the full weight of its justice powers. The argument against WikiLeaks is that they did not do anything to redact confidential information, especially things
Mm-hmm.
around I believe it was like locations of agents and people
Mm-hmm.
working around the
Mm-hmm.
world. There was a lot of like really sensitive stuff that wasn't cleared or leaked at all, or like what were not like really redacted. And what Snowden had done was a little different. Like he had worked directly with several with you know several people in organizations, including whose name is escaping me now, the main journalist that was working with Snowden. But he worked with journalists who vetted the
Glenn
information.
Greenwald and also
Glenn
Lauren
Greenwald, who's
Porteous.
now fallen far from like when we from being played by Spock in the Snowden movie. Glenn Greenwald, you have fallen very far. But
Oh,
the Snowden stuff, they were working together with journalists who did a lot of that information, redacted a lot of confidential stuff, and even he ended up being, hounded and stuck in
right.
Russia, and also
Yeah.
not being like the hero of the left that a lot of people wanted him to be. But whatever, that information is out there. Do you ever talk to people, Sherlyn, around the Snowden reveals or Spectre? Do you ever hear people actually talk about? Wasn't it weird that we learned that the U.S. government and a lot of governments were like actively spying on citizens, and we just don't talk about it? Have you ever encountered people actually discussing it in your daily life outside of tech circles?
I don't, I don't think people like talk about it anymore. Like I think back in the day, yes.
Do
I
you
might have been
like?
a bit too
Mhm.
what?
Did you have conversations back then with people? I'm just wondering, like, if you encountered this in the real world outside of the media world.
No, because the people I was talking to back then were all media people. Like I didn't have many like I think it was like early in my move to
That's all
America
you had.
days.
Oh yeah, and
So
your school
all my friends were
people.
my J school friends and it was like yeah. And none
Mhm.
of Singaporeans didn't really
Oh yeah,
they
you guys
knew
are
the
used to
names
it.
and they,
You're like
yeah,
used
we're just
used to
like
being
also
monitored
yeah,
all
we're
the
like,
time.
oh, of course the government's spying on you. Everything, like it's not. I
Mhm.
mean, no, we don't think the government's spying on us, but it's ingrained in us to like be careful what we say because if the government overhears you talking shit about them, they like jail you.
Yeah.
Um, but the thing is, I think the question here is yeah, the responsible treatment of like sensitive private information that could like lead to harm of individual people, but also like I don't know. I mean, like
Mhm.
people wasn't there a John Oliver segment on like people getting names confused of like, do you know who Julian Assange is? Do you know who Edward Snowden is? And then people were like, oh, the WikiLeaks guy. And they were like, no,
Mhm.
Snowden's not the WikiLeaks guy. Like there's a lot of confusion around all
There's
of
a lot
this.
of confusion, yeah.
I think in the
Mhm.
moment we didn't have conversations as much around like what Snowden revealed, but I think we're feeling the impact of it now where like everyone is aware that there's a lot of stuff that's spying on you, whether it's your social media, whether your phone, whether it's the government, and there's like heightened like antitrust sentiment, like just nobody trusts anyone anymore. So that's what we're feeling, I feel. I don't know.
Mhm. I mean, there has to be room, like, for people to actually divulge information if they think things are going
Yes.
wrong, but yeah,
Whistleblowing.
unfortunately, yeah, that does not work with the way governments and, classified information work.
Right,
So,
whistleblowing without retaliation is
yeah,
like a huge like
yeah.
thing that needs to be supported, but I don't
We're
know if
gonna we're gonna be
everyone is
talking about
doing.
this story for a while too. Like Assange is not gonna he's gonna be much louder now. He's gonna be doing many interviews and probably gonna have all sorts of like deals out of this. So we're gonna be talking about the story for a while, and certainly it's gonna be worth diving deeper into it too. So I'm looking for a good guest to talk to around that stuff. There are a couple other major reveals or other bits of news we saw this week too. The Supreme Court ruled that it allows the White House to request removal of misinformation on social media. This was I'm just reading out here from NPR. Um, Basically, I believe this was a result of conservative complaints of the Biden administration going to social media companies and just asking them to remove specific bits of news around misinformation. I think one thing revolved around Biden's granddaughter. So just specific bits that they thought were being like put out there badly, and the government was essentially trying to stop what it called misinformation. I've seen a lot of commentary where
Mm,
people are saying this actually does set a bad precedent because
mm,
okay, what is misinformation? Could a more nefarious regime, if there was another Trump regime or something, could a more nefarious administration use this badly and just like define misinformation as stuff they just don't like? that could be kind of a problem. I don't know if have you thought about this at all, Sherlyn?
You just can't trust people, right? Like you can put something in place that's supposed to protect people, they tear it down because they think it's gonna be like abused, or you can put something in place that was bad and tear it down to protect other. I don't know. It's like I don't trust that like a specific administration anymore. You know what I mean? Like sometimes they do bad things because they're dumb. Sometimes they do bad things because they're bad. Sometimes they don't think. I don't know. I have very little faith in a lot of these things. So no matter how this falls, I feel like the outcome, it's A, ongoing, and B, like I have very little faith.
What's interesting about this
so
case too is it was Amy Coney Barrett who is a Trump appointee who kind of really tore down this whole thing because I think at some point the plaintiffs were saying the White House was bombarding Twitter with requests to set up a streamlined process for censorship, and that never really happened. Let me see here. I'm going to read from NPR. In her opinion for the majority court, the court majority, Barrett said that at every turn, the alleged facts turned to dust and that the plaintiffs have failed to trace the past or potential harm to anything done by officials at the White House, the CDC, the FBI, or key cybersecurity agencies. So it's just like it was kind of thrown out because a lot of this was ruled as baseless. Just kind of interesting, but I don't know what this sets precedents for. I think a lot of people are worried, especially people worried about information, overall freedom of information. So there is that. We also saw another Supreme Court story actually just hit this morning. The Supreme Court has blocked the Biden administration's plan to curb air pollution from basically key polluting states, I think in the Midwest and places like West Virginia, basically to stop them or at least help them prevent spewing emissions that would go into other states. So here's the story right now. The Supreme Court put a temporary hold on the EPA plan to do that, basically to curtail air pollution that drifts across state lines. I think the ruling before was that states essentially were going to have to deal with it themselves. They would all have to come up with their own plans for figuring out how they would deal with their own messy air. And because that didn't happen, the EPA was trying to come up with rules to set it up so that they could actually help curtail this. It's just not going anywhere. This is another blow against the EPA, and I can think another blow against the government to actually stop things like air pollution or things that would make the environment better. What's interesting is that Amy Coney Barrett was among the dissenters for this one too. She joined the 3 liberal members to push against this. I don't know if you have thoughts on the Sherlyn, because this one just hit, but it is kind of astounding. Like at every turn, it's basically we have a very conservative Supreme Court who will always lean on conservative values and states' rights rather than something that could help people. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I think we've not given the EPA a lot of authority to do what it needs to do, basically.
I think, I mean, basically taking it away at every single turn, or at least blocking whatever plans. There's the other thing too about the EPA can't set what was it, like their own environmental protections. Like they can't set standards. That was a whole other thing. So the EPA just can't really do much these days. That's a pain. We're going to see more about that story too, and maybe there's going to be pushback against that. Let's talk about the Rabbit R1. Because there was a hilarious chain of events where the hacker group the Rabbitude community that is reverse engineering the Rabbit R1 software revealed that they found a security code or security issue within the company's code that leaves sensitive information accessible to everyone. And did you see this thing, Sherlyn? Because it just seems wild. It seems like there were API keys that were like open and vulnerable. People could use it to see pretty much any information, like any response that the R1 device has given to people, including personal information. It could also be used to brick R1 devices, alter the R1's responses, replace the device's voice. This seems bad. Are you surprised that this company was not really thinking about security very hard about the Rabbit R1?
I mean, I love talking about Rabbit because every time something comes up with this company, I just start to laugh. Look, I was very like I bought into the whole hype thing. I was like, oh, this is so cool. The API stuff that they're trying to build to make their large action model work seems really intriguing. And then, yeah, clearly haven't thought it through. Don't seem to have tested everything. I think the most egregious thing is that the Rabbit2 people say that the company Rabbit has known about the issue for the past month and quote did nothing to fix it. And then after they posted, they said that Rabbit revoked 11
Yep.
Labs' API key, even though it broke R1 devices for a bit. But Rabbit did tell Engadget in an email or a statement that was only made aware of quote an alleged data breach end quote on June 25th. So 2 days. It's a he said she said almost, and I don't know
I would not trust Rabbit.
who to
Why?
trust. I mean,
Especially,
look,
yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
here's the thing. It's like you can say that you inform someone at the company and say that
Mhm.
the company has known about the issue for the past month, but maybe that one person that you informed didn't tell the whole company. Like, there's so many like little nuances that can be
Uh-huh.
missed in this that like they do have some gray area that they're playing in right now. And both people could be like saying like the
Sure,
truth,
sure.
and it could be
I like
both
how you're
correct,
trying to
but
be nice and fair here, but this company has
always.
produced one of the worst devices we've ever seen, a thing that is functionally useless. And I can't trust literally anything coming out of their mouth. So I saw on the Rabbit, I'm still in the Rabbit Discord channel. They were doing some updates yesterday. They were like, "Oh, we made a page to update all the news we have around this security issue. We're gonna get to the bottom of this." And I cannot trust this silly company. It's just such
It's
a
funny.
it's just such a hilarious thing. So
It's so
anyway,
sad.
massive data breach. If you have a Rabbit device, I would say maybe turn that into a nice accessory on your shelf.
No, some
Don't use it anymore. Mhm.
Solidus in our chat said that someone is running full Android on Rabbit R1. So, hey, go crazy.
It's just it's a tiny powerless Android device. So yes, I'm
There you
sure
go.
you could run full Android on
Pretty
it.
funny.
Stop using the Rabbit R1. That may be that may be the main takeaway here.
Mhm.
We also saw another story that Uber is apparently locking out New York drivers out of its apps. It seems like sometimes in the middle of their shifts because of a city
Yeah.
pay rule, and Lyft is apparently threatening to do the same. This is kind of a local story, but it's also a broader story too because this kind of like ties into things where they were both Uber and Lyft had lockouts in 2019 around like the flat minimum wage requirement for drivers. They threatened to pull out of Minneapolis because the city was trying to force a driver pay raise up. So these companies have generally done things that have been kind of ruthless against the people working for them, and then they blame city regulations or state regulations for that. What I don't know if you saw the story, Shalin, or do you have any thoughts on
I
it? Mhm,
Yeah, I mean, I heard about like the past situation where there's like a minimum wage sort of situation that's
mhm.
caused some of this, and it's not easy for companies like this to navigate. I'm not taking their side. I think it's silly, but they need to find a way to make it work, not just lock people out of like the apps that make the
It seems
money.
this
Like,
is the way, like, because they don't wanna pay people. So
right, that's the problem. But the problem is
mhm,
like if Uber starts to pay its drivers for like when it doesn't have, they're not picking up actual rides, and like where does that money come from? It's capitalism all over again, right? Capitalism is the problem because
mhm.
they're going to try to pass that on to consumers, and then we're going to start complaining that Ubers are too expensive, and then we're going to stop using it as much, and then less. It's like a cycle. Duh. Um,
I mean,
it's
we also know we should remember it's hard to trust Uber. It's hard to trust Uber given how
yeah,
ruthless this company was at the beginning and how it just flaunted, its own
right.
service against regulations, especially in New York. So, you
Well,
know.
they've had a leadership change since then, and the new
Mhm.
like CEO is like a more grounded person. It seems like, I
He's
think
trying
that
to be better.
they're
Yeah.
trying to be better, but I still think that it's more of an industry sort of shift, right? Where the gig economy is kind
Mhm.
of the way things are right now. I think I've seen some reports saying that like 50% of the workforce is going to be freelance in a certain number of years, and we're already seeing the effects of this.
Mhm.
We need to be rethinking the entire system of how we pay people for gig work and for like non-working hours, that sort of thing. It's starting to
It's
show
not really
here.
non-working hours is the thing, like, I'm gonna read from our story. The mid-shift lockout
Mhm.
stemmed from a 6-year-old NYC payroll that requires ride-sharing companies to pay drivers for idle time between fares. So I don't consider that non-working hours. That is time you are driving around the city and like looking for fares, waiting for a fare to hit
Right.
before you accept one. So going on with the story here, it capped how long drivers without passengers can be paid means Uber is paying them less, but it also means that drivers are taking home much less money for the same amount of time on the clock. And they can't predict when they'll lose access to the app. One driver told Bloomberg
Is
that they
the
used to work 10
yeah.
hours and make 300 to 350. Now they're working 10 hours and barely making $170. So,
The
yeah,
unpredictability is like one of the worst things of this whole situation, which is also, by the way, very surprising to me because every time I'm like in an Uber, I see like the driver gets a next ride before I'm even
sure,
out of the
sure.
car. You know what I mean? So I'm like, whoa, there's people sitting around like looking for rides. So that's
Sometimes.
where my brain's at. Yeah.
I mean, I've seen drivers like running Lyft and Uber simultaneously and will like pause one
Yeah.
and take one of the other just
Yeah.
so they keep themselves going. But it does seem it's because, like, it's based on the amount of work you're doing and you're not working a set
Hmm.
amount of time. That's kind of the big pain. I don't know if you ever if you've ever worked like I don't know, like a simple service level job, Sherlin, where like you had to rely on shifts being given to you, and sometimes
Yeah.
you would not get a shift, or sometimes like you have to ask, or sometimes a shift would be
Yeah.
put on you.
Yep.
This would happen to me like when I was working in sales. Like it's just you have very little control over how much money you can actually make, and it's all just kind of
Yeah.
capricious. It depends on like your
It
manager and your
sucks.
company doing it. I don't even know how the Uber thing is working because Uber is like so famously algorithmic, right? Drivers do not have a human manager to talk to. They c- put complaints in the app, and the app will like tell them go here, take this direction or something. So I almost wonder too, like this is likely an algorithmic lockout that's happening because that's
Yeah.
how Uber works. So anyway, next time you have a cheap Uber, just think about like the costs here and make sure to tip your drivers. Because I had a really long conversation with my last driver to the airport, and they were just lamenting like these companies are just paying us less and less. Like every year,
Hmm.
every week, it seems like their pay is going down, even though they're doing the same amount of trips. So think of that, folks. One thing I don't mind doing, especially at airports, is like the Uber lines are kind of a mess. You think you're booking a car, but then you have to run to the thing and like find it. And every time I go to an airport, like the taxi lines are just like full, completely full and waiting to pick up people. So there are other ways to get around. Take public transportation. You don't have to rely on Uber and Lyft for everything. One other thing we want to talk about, and we're going to do something special for the live stream here. Um, Toys R Us, or the folks who own Toys R Us right now, has released a brand ad, like a brand film that was created entirely using OpenAI's Sora. And folks, it's a nightmare. It is an absolute nightmare. So we're gonna play it here live in the stream and comment on it. And those of you in the chat can join us. You could go take a look. Just Google this thing too. You can find it online. So I'm gonna kick off this video. Let's just take a look, and Sherlyn, feel free to shout out like your emotions, like how you're feeling about this thing as we're seeing it. So let me unmute this tab and hit play.
Did you ever wonder how Toys R Us and Jeffrey the Giraffe came to be?
That's a lot of
The
cars.
son of a bike shop owner, Charles Lazarus, had a vision that would go on to change toy stores forever.
Like his head is just not shaped right. It's so weird.
Oh my gosh, this kid looks so strange. This reminds me of that game I played with Match 3, by the way.
The greatest toy store there
Don't you miss
is.
Toys R Us? It
Whose
doesn't
voice
even
is
look
it?
like
I
Jeffrey.
don't wanna grow.
Or iconic Jeffrey.
Cause
Messed up.
maybe if I did,
This is a different looking Jeffrey now. They can't keep the
I
design right.
wouldn't be a Toys
Same kid?
R Us.
No, the
Toys R
giraffe is
Us
named
was the
Jeffrey.
dream of Charles
But also the
Lazarus.
kid looks different.
May
too.
all of your
Yes.
dreams come true too.
The dream. of
And the
Toys R Us.
dream continues on with a Toys R Us at every Macy's.
They mean nightmare, yes?
They mean nightmare. I'm just gonna mute that side. So I guess this is an ad meant to remind people that Toys R Us is not fully dead yet. The company that owns the assets of Toys R Us is now working together with Macy's. And I don't have you been to Macy's lately, Sherlyn? There are little Toys R Us
Yeah.
sections
Yep.
there now. It's just it's not the same. It's not the same as like
No, it's
going
not.
through. I
Gosh.
did you guys have anything like Toys
Yeah,
R
we
Us?
did. We did. Yep. Toys R
So
Us.
like
Yeah.
going through the giant store filled with
Yep.
toys. My childhood
Oh,
memories is
yep.
buying video games from Toys R Us, which was
Um.
a weird thing because you'd have to pull a
Yeah.
paper and like go up to the counter and hope that it was actually in stock. But as a
Mm,
kid who only got like 1 or 2 games a year, it was always like a monumental event to go to play games for free for
yeah.
demos. Those experiences you will not get at the Toys R Us at Macy's. And this is one of the first Sora AI produced ads I've seen. I think it kind of looks like a nightmare. Like the kid just looks inhuman is the thing. Like I'm
There's
getting a lot of
there's
revulsion here.
there's a lot of very uncanny valley going on, like
Mhm,
the movement of the kid's neck when like they reacted and recoiled almost a little bit, not in a
mhm.
like a bad way, but it looked a little robotic, very strange. And then like yeah, their face would change depending on the angle that they were being shot from, according to the AI. And then
Mhm,
the ad has these very clear labels that this is made by not just AI, but also some VFX team on Toys R Us's side. So like there's some cleaning up because I will say that
mhm,
for like a Sora made video is clean, right? There's not
mhm.
too many glaring like errors like too much teeth or too many fingers, that sort
They
of
had to,
thing.
like, likely redo things quite a bit, like
Yes.
because what
They
we
probably
have
had to clean it up.
they likely have to clean it up, but also what we have read and seen from people testing Sora is that if the prompts kinda, like, break down after a while, so you can do, like, 10-second clips or something, but the longer you go, the crazier and, like, wilder it gets. It just can't, like, keep a story straight,
Oh
so
my god. That's
like,
awesome.
making a video in Sora is just, like, a lot of like, little tiny prompts and hope you cross your fingers and you hope it's not a complete nightmare.
Yeah.
This is I'm getting a lot of, like, people are bringing this up in the chat, but I'm getting a lot of, like, Polar Express and, like, the mocap
Yeah.
stuff that
Yeah.
Zemeckis was doing. But even that, like, I've seen all of those movies. I saw Beowulf, which I think was one of the first ones he did, and those don't feel as weird and inhuman to me as this does, but I'm
Hmm.
also somebody that likes genuine animation too, and those had, like, painterly animation, whereas this is, like, inhuman CG child trying to be human, and it's just, like, not quite right. So, there's your
Yeah.
nightmare fuel for the week, folks. Enjoy. Let's move on to what we're working on. Hey, I just produced the Surface Pro Copilot Plus review. That is out there. A video is going to be up on YouTube. I'm also currently testing Kia's EV9, the 3-row SUV that Sam and I have been like eyeing for a while. So I'm testing it, hoping to write up something about using it as a family car. What's up with you, Sherlyn?
Yeah, doing a lot of summer slash fall event planning. We're also doing some testing of the Apple betas just to see, just to get ready to, break out any sort of stories that might be
Hmm.
interesting. And, hopefully get ahead of that crushing fall hardware season. So that's
Lots of
that's
plans.
me.
Do you want to mention anything around the site,
Yeah.
Sherlyn? Because you dropped some in.
So last week we had a story from Carissa Bell go up, and it's titled "How Small Claims Court Became Meta's Customer Service Hotline," where people are apparently having to go to court as a last-ditch attempt to recover their accounts. It's pretty incredible, and the story did really well for us. I think there's some really interesting stories in here that you might want to take a look at. And if you haven't already, it's really good reporting from Carissa. I just thought, it's worth shouting out here on the podcast so that people can go read it. And if you've got, been locked out of your Meta account for some silly reason, or you got hacked or something, and you're not getting help directly from Meta, apparently there are people who are having some success in small claims court, which is really ridiculous if you come to think about it.
It's kinda I mean, I guess it makes sense because these companies do not have, like, often have, like, easy ways to get access to customer service, right? That was a complaint with Amazon for a while, and I think they've gotten
Right,
better about that.
exactly.
But, yeah, man, just be persistent if you have a lot of issues with these companies. Also, small claims court is, like, one of those things that is just, like, useful for people, but
Yeah,
you have to, like, stick with it, and you have to spend money to actually make that thing happen to,
yeah.
bring up your issues. Um, cool.
And
Any
time, lots of time.
Lots of time. Let's move on to our pop culture picks for the week. What do you have, Sherlyn?
Two main things. One, I can't remember if I've mentioned this before, but I've been watching Wild Isles on Prime Video. It is nature documentary stuff narrated by David Attenborough about the British Isles, and each episode is of the 5 like limited series episode, like of the 5-episode limited series. Each episode focuses on a different type of wildlife. So the first episode is just like general wildlife. The second episode is like forest. The third is like fields. The fourth is like freshwater. The fourth is like ocean, stuff like that. It's really cool because the footage is incredible. The BBC commissioned this TV series, and the team spent 3 years just camouflaged in the midst of like bird poop infested woods to just get you like really neat thermal image footage of like a million birds roosting in
cool.
this little
I mean,
patch,
they've been doing
and
that
how
with
they're
Planet
picked
Earth
off by owls. Yeah,
forever.
I
Yeah.
mean, they have, but this is like the thermal image technology is, according to the show, like new. And a lot of the footage to me is really cool because I mean, I haven't never seen a slug. I forget the full name of this slug, but like a slug in the middle of the night is glowing and it made it with another slug. So I've seen a slug's dick, just so you know.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I also saw 2 snakes going at it. Did you know that male snakes, their sexual organs have things on them that help them stay attached to the female
I
snake?
can imagine. I can
Anyway,
imagine.
for that and more risque footage of animals going at it, you can check out Wild Isles on Prime Video.
How do
The
you
other thing I
explain this to
will shout
kids?
out.
Yeah.
No, I mean kids can watch it too. It's like animal sex,
Yeah.
not a euphemism. Well, I'm gonna
Mhm,
anyway.
mhm.
And then also over the weekend, I saw The Bike Riders in theaters. It's that film about the
Yep.
motorcycle gang, the fictional motorcycle gang called the Vandals.
No,
But
they're
stars
real.
Austin
They're
Butler.
real. It's based on a whole real thing.
It's based on a real thing. The name is not the
The
Vandals,
name may
though.
be different. Yeah, no. It was based on a
Yeah.
picture book of an actual biker gang. Yeah.
Yes, it's the picture book by Danny Lyons, and it stars Austin Butler, Tom Hardy, Jodie Comer is amazing, and I
She's
love
great.
her in it. I don't know
Yeah.
if that's how you pronounce her last name,
Yep.
but and then also Mabu Norman Reedus shows up, and I was like, yes, Norman Reedus, right? And he's kind of unrecognizable when he first shows up. I'm like, this is Norman Reedus, right? This is
With the
no, and
teeth, and he looks like a dirty
God, yeah, he
hippie.
looks like such a meth head from Dirty Hippie from California in the show, but like, oh, amazing. And then I'm very inspired to go check out the story now, the written and the pictures. So if you're interested in sort of that type of history, motorcycle gang stuff, go check it out. But
I
if
mean,
not,
it's more like motorcycle gangs in the style of like Goodfellas or something. I saw the movie and I reviewed it, and it's like it's good. I really like it, and I like the director. I feel like
yeah,
it was a little more, push a little harder. Tell us more about
yeah,
these
yeah,
characters. What is up with the Jodie Comer's
exactly,
character who literally has no inner life? What does she do for a living?
Yep,
What are her
I
hopes and
agree.
dreams other than Austin Butler hot?
I will
Which
say,
he is.
yeah. I
Yeah.
don't oh god, I don't know why I'm so annoyed by Austin Butler, but I did really like Tom Hardy in it. And I will
Tom
say
Hardy's
that
good.
like
Yeah.
Psycho in our chat says that they didn't like the ending of Bike Riders, pissed them off, and that Jonathan
Mhm.
Anderson says that the Bike Riders was good but had some slow parts. Fully agree with both of
Mhm.
these things. I just thought Tom Hardy plays obviously the same character over and over again, but he was quite good in this one. And
Well,
then
with a different
also
accent. He always brings a different
slightly
weird
different
accent to
accent.
all
I
of his
love this one.
roles.
I thought this one was good. I also like Jodie Comer's like accent in this one as well.
Mhm.
But yeah, I am obviously not like super into the ending. I feel like you said, Devendra, they could have pushed harder on the storytelling
Gotta
here.
push
But
harder. Yeah, the ending feels like weak. It's just like I watch a movie
yeah,
like this. I'm like, I want to just rewatch Goodfellas. You want to give me Goodfellas light?
right.
Just go watch Goodfellas, everybody. Goodfellas is a perfect movie. I want to shout out real quick. I talked about The Acolyte being great several weeks ago,
Right.
and now we're at the point where my screeners have ended, and episode 5 of The Acolyte is one of those things that is just like I was looking at this thing and like, how the hell does this exist? Something happens 3 minutes into this episode, and I shout it out loud, and my wife had to come downstairs to be like, What's happening? Are you
Ooh.
okay?" Because one of the wildest things I've ever seen in Star Wars happened within 3 minutes of this episode. There are prolonged fight scenes. I'm not going to reveal like what the thing is, but there is a big bad that everybody has been sort of like talking around, and they make their full appearance in this episode. And the fights are insane. Like it is full on. I talked about this thing basically being Crouching Tiger, and they lean more into a
Oh,
lot of that stuff, just the way you shoot a Hong Kong style fight scene. And like I'm all for it.
nice.
The reveals are
Nice.
great. Sherlyn, I think for your life and for your interests, you really should be watching the show, and I think you will be very
Okay.
happy where things go in episode 5. Keyword is arms. The arms in this episode are very, very good.
Okay.
If you're hanging around social
Are
media,
they like mine?
the spoilers
No,
are
I'm
out. I mean, listen, you've got muscly arms, Shalyn, but there's some good
No, no,
muscly
no, no.
arms in this episode. The spoilers are out there in social media, so I'm not gonna like reveal things here,
Right.
and
I'm
you
not
will
trying to
probably
either, yeah.
see clips, Sherlyn, of certain actors who are revealed to be bad guys.
Okay.
I think you will really enjoy watching The Acolyte, so highly recommend it. I know you like Hong Kong martial arts
Yes, I
movies,
do. Yeah.
and I don't know if
I
you like
will watch
Star
this
Wars.
after I'm done with all the animal porn. Yeah.
Yeah, after the animal porn, it's good. It's so good. And now I go back and like I'm looking at like how people online are responding to the Acolyte. And it's just like sheer trash fire. It is the fans
Mm,
who like will reject anything made by a woman or featuring
mm,
people of color, just like those bad Star Wars fans.
mm,
They're still around, but also like a lot of weird nitpicking over the series. I'm not giving full judgment on the narrative until it's like done and I see a complete story,
mhm.
but what it is so far is fascinating and cool and action packed, and I just freaking love it. So, The Acolyte's still good. Catch up, folks, because you're going to be spoiled this weekend. I'm sure of it. I'm already seeing the gifs and the memes out there on Twitter. So, yeah,
Nice.
catch up. All right, you can wrap.
All right, I'm gonna do the outro. Well, that's it for everyone. That's it for everyone. Oh my gosh, the world just ended. Well,
I
that's
know.
it for the episode this week, everyone. Thank you as always for listening. Our theme music is by game composer Dale North. Our outro music is by our former managing editor, Terrence O'Brien. The podcast is produced by Ben Elman. You can find Devindra online at
Devindra on Twitter, Blue Sky, Threads, all over the place, Mastodon, and I podcast about movies and TV at thefilmcast.com.
If you want to send me high quality footage of slugs mating, I guess, please PG-13 only. I am at Sherlyn Low on Twitter or X and at Sherlinstagram on Threads. Email us your thoughts at podcast@engadget.com. Leave us a review, please, on iTunes or your podcast catcher of choice, and subscribe anywhere you can get podcasts.
Thanks, folks. We're out.
Okay, so everybody stick around because we are
Mhm.
going to be talking to chat for a little while.
Yeah, a little bit. I just
Yeah.
realized next week, July 4th lands on Thursday. So
Yeah,
we have to
exactly.
figure
So
out what
we're
we're
actually
gonna
out
do.
of all of July.
Well, maybe we have time to do a short episode. I don't know. Like maybe before July 4th, but we'll
Oh,
see.
before they got you. Yeah.
Maybe
We'll
next
do
week
like
an episode,
audio.
folks. Yeah,
Yeah.
but it probably won't be live streamed. I don't know.
Ben,
Yeah.
Ben,
Yeah.
how about I
Mhm.
record a line now to say there will be no episode next week at least?
Yes.
Okay. All right. And just a reminder, everyone, there will not be an episode of the podcast next week because of the 4th of July holiday.
Okay.
That's fine. Yeah, it's up to you guys if you do anything else.
Yeah.
I'm
We
sure
can
you
figure
could
that
do.
out.
There are going to be a couple
early next
episodes for you.
So
Yeah.
Wes Jackson says, Devindra, this might have been actually before
Uh-huh.
we were talking about the Acolyte. He said, I heard episode 3 jumped the shark a bit. I think that's when the evil twin came in. I'm not sure.
That's literally that's what the series is. So it's like I don't know. It's not a huge spoiler, but also this is Star Wars. People are like, oh my god, twins! I don't understand that plot point. Did you forget what Luke and Leia were? Like literally
Twins.
the core characters. This has been
Fraternal
a
twins.
twin-centered story forever. Don't act like this is new. Oh my god.
Oh boy. Let's see. I don't know what Quinn Thompson's talking about. Quinn Thompson, let me know what you're talking about. People are very hype about all the Animal Planet stuff and the Acolyte.
Speaking of Star Wars, I can't stop talking about Jenny Nicholson's 4-hour Star Wars Galactic
good.
Cruise
good.
video.
You should watch it, Sherlyn, just to see like the
Yeah.
state of content right now.
Honestly, the state of
Yeah.
content right now, that's one thing, but also she just does like a really good job
Mhm.
of research. So it's I struggle to call it content because I think content is usually like a
It's useless.
demeaning
No,
word
this
for
is an essay. This
yes,
is a true
this is a
essay.
very long, very
Mhm.
good video essay.
Mhm.
Yeah.
On top of that, I think it's possibly setting Miss Nicholson up for a career in like experience design consulting or something,
That's
because
what
it
she's
seems like
always
she's
talked
got
about.
a lot of good ideas.
Yeah.
If Disney was smart, they
Mhm.
wouldn't get mad. They would just start hiring her.
She is a theme park kid, and she's talked about this in like other things too. So like, yeah, she's somebody who has thought deeply about this and can really speak to the problems at that frickin' Star Wars hotel. My God.
It seems like it's actually for no one. Like, it's not
Mhm.
really for adults, and it's only for like a very small like
Mhm.
age group of kids, and that doesn't really do anyone any good, does it?
It's
I just
it's weird. Yep.
I just wanted to point out that Deepro9, when we were talking about Toys R Us, Deepro9 made a funny typo. They said, "I'm seeing 4 Rick and Mortar Toys R Us stores in Florida." I was like, "Rick and Morty?
Rick
Mortar?
and
Rick and Mortar? Rick and Morty?"
Rick.
But then they corrected themselves and said Brick. So I mean, I knew what you were going for, but
There
I just thought Rick
may
and
be a
Mortar is funny.
handful of things still open, but
Mm.
last I saw, there was like widespread, like those things died, you know. So the main way it exists now is within Macy's. Yeah.
And also, Quinn Thompson clarified they were talking about the Acolyte. So yeah, okay, now I
Yes.
get it. Oops. Deeper9 says there's new AI news from Instagram just now.
Oh
We shall go
boy.
take a look. But also,
Mhm.
can I just say that we didn't talk about this in the episode, but we did you see the thing about Amazon adding like a cheap direct from China section to the Amazon store? And I'm like,
That's
oh,
just
Temu wants to be
Amazon.
Amazon.
But
Amazon
Oh
wants to
wow,
be
yeah.
Temu.
that is
It's just
just Amazon. That's
it is
always been
also
about
that.
cheap stuff from China getting right to you. Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
Okay.
yeah, but I think that they want even cheaper so
They
that
want
they
direct
can,
shipping.
yeah,
They don't even want like warehouse. They
yeah,
want to
so
send the
they
stuff to warehouse.
can
Yeah.
compete with Shein and Temu
Sure.
and
Sure.
Deepro9 is adding the information around that AI stuff from Instagram, rolling out an early test in the US of our AI studios. So you might start seeing AI from your favorite creators and interest-based AIs in coming week on Instagram.
Mhm.
Thank you for sharing the news with us here at Deepro9.
Thank you.
The
But a
funny
little
thing
too
about it, though, is that I haven't seen a whole lot of enthusiasm about chatbots or
Mhm.
especially like interest-based stuff among like just the general populace.
Nobody
I
cares.
see a lot of
I mean,
people being like, "Oh wow, like, you know,
Mhm.
ChatGPT is really helpful for schoolwork. ChatGPT like helps
Mhm.
me with my coding." And then there are like literal computer science professors saying like way too many of their students are using ChatGPT code rather than actually learning to code.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I am not seeing like the most like general population of normies being like, wow, ChatGPT is really helpful. Large language models are changing
Mhm.
my life.
What were you gonna say, Shirley?
don't know if I can remember. Oh no, that I think I was saying that I've used the AI stuff on like generating some backgrounds on an
Yeah.
Instagram story, but that's really it. And I don't use it a lot at all. Like I just did it for the novelty.
It's I do like that you know a large portion of creative society, even if like the mainstream people aren't like well aware. I like that the creative response has basically been to when people saw Google Glass for the first time. They're just like, nope,
Yeah.
not happening. No, thank you. Yeah. And there is
Yeah.
we didn't cover the Tribeca AI films, right? Because there was a whole
No, we
controversy
didn't.
around
Yeah.
that stuff. And the director for one of those was also on Twitter, like talking about it too, and like not really putting herself in a good position, even though she just made an indie movie I really liked. So it's very weird what this is doing to artists now too.
Jonathan Anderson sarcastically said in the
Mhm.
chat that they're just waiting for Apple Intelligence LOL and then it will be great. I will point out that whenever Genmojis, which are Apple Intelligence, whenever
Mhm.
they do roll around and that image playground stuff, that's when the mainstream is actually going to start using them. Maybe
Sure.
not every single day and every single message, but that's when people will start using them like your Bitmoji, you know?
Yeah, but most, I mean, that's what if you go read my 3,000 review word
Yes.
review of the Surface Pro, which Roland had to edit. Sorry, but the image generation stuff is in Paint. It's in Photos.
Yep.
Useless. It is okay.
What are we
I
doing
make,
it?
I
Yeah,
make
you asked a very good question of like, what are people going to use it for in their presentations? That's really it, right? Like, what else? You know?
maybe occasionally you send a funny video to a friend or something, but you'd rather make something that looks like your friend that is kind of like somehow related to things. And that
Right.
is what the Genmojis are doing.
Well,
Or
also,
Mhm.
Sorry, go on. Finish your
Well,
thought.
or you send, what do you send people? Is you send people memes or fun information, like things happening, and like the AI
Exactly.
stuff is the only memes around it is how bad the AI is.
Here's
at this
Yeah,
point.
which
and
is kind of where my mind is going. Like,
Yeah.
we have meme templates. I was playing around with,
Mhm.
that cycle meme template where, 4 things happen and then it just goes back to square one. And so you might end up using AI to generate like
Oh,
a
absolutely.
template, but the thing that makes any meme like worth interacting with is the personal intent. You're not just
Mhm.
going to like punch a bunch of stuff into chat gpt and it's going to make something that you find really fun. That's going to be like the base layer, and then you're going to have to like put some human intent on top of it.
What were you gonna say, Sherlyn?
I was just gonna say basically the same thing. Just summarizing what both of you are saying, right? Like, who cares? No one's gonna send like generated AI generated content around. What people want to share is original stuff that might or might not have happened in real life. And then even when people are rage baiting on TikTok nowadays, you'll see
Mhm.
that people are angry about like, this looks staged, this looks fake. This person was standing around on the street acting with their friend, pretending like it was a chance encounter. People know when something is fake and they don't like it. We want original, we want real content to share. So I think that's what it is.
Who's somebody on Twitter had said like they don't want AI to like
Do their
they want,
laundry.
yeah, they
Right.
want AI to do the laundry and the grunt work so they can be creative, not to
Yep.
do the art.
Not the other way.
So they can do their
Yep.
laundry. And I think
Yep.
that is it. That's the perfect way of thinking about it. And we didn't talk about this, but the OpenAI CTO and her shitty comments around maybe some artists deserve to be laid off. Like
Oh,
maybe they weren't doing much when the entire value of what OpenAI is building is built on scraping up
maybe
actual
some
art that's
CEOs
produced by
deserve to
people.
be laid off, you know? I don't
Well,
know.
yeah, she's a CTO, but yeah,
Oh, okay.
these folks are
Some
all disowning.
C-suite people. How about that?
Yeah. All right, chat. How we
Okay.
doing?
Yep. I
You
think
want to
Yeah,
wrap?
we're
I
just
think
about done.
yeah, we're
Um,
just vibing now. So I think we should say goodbye to everyone that wants to say goodbye.
yeah.
Leave your
Bye.
goodbyes.
Bye to Tom Rogers. Bye to Solidus T. Bye to Jonathan Anderson. Bye to Dude Dame Charlie. Bye to Buddy 305 Love. Bye to DPro9. Bye to Wes Jackson and
Oh, George
Quinn
Morgan.
Thompson,
Hello.
George Morgan, Gonzalo Costa, Psycho, all caps, Declan. I think that's Paradise with a bunch of eyes.
Can I show you all something
Mhm.
special for the live stream because we're going off for a whole month? I'll just show you all something. Okay. Goodbye.
What?
Was that what you made that?
What?
Yeah, I made it.
Sherlyn
Here's
made a
a
poop. Thanks for
Oh.
sharing that with the class,
Oh
Sherlyn.
wait, is that Palo Santo?
it's
Oh
just
no, it's yarn.
yeah,
It's just
really
poop. It's just yarn poop. Thank you, Sherlyn.
Okay, thank you everybody. Chat, you make us smarter. You remember things that we forgot. The video comes to you via Devindra on OBS. I do the camera switching and also watch the chat. Thank you everyone. We'll see you soon.
See you soon, at least a month from now, folks. Bye.